Hello, welcome to another Paint Along with Jasmine Rempel Art. I'm going to be making two bookmarks today. I'm going to make Snowflake bookmarks, and I have Windsor Newton Professional Watercolors to do that. I'm using Payne's Gray. I'm using Windsor Violet, Prussian Blue, and phthalo turquoise. I also have some Windsor Newton permanent white gouache, and these are all in my palette to use. I'll also be using some masking fluid, Windsor Newton again. I will be using some Kosher salt, Ivory soap, lots of water. This is my water container. I've got here some brushes. I've got a #1 rigger brush. I've got a variety of round brushes handy, and I will describe the ones I'm using as I go along. They're everywhere from 000 up to a number 12. I will also be using rubber cement square to rub off masking fluid and paint. Here I have Arches watercolor paper, cold pressed, 140 pound, and I've added some white painter's tape around the edges of the paper. It's cut, what did I cut this? Oh, I really can't remember. This is a, I suppose I could measure it rather quickly. Let's see. I'll get my ruler. I measured this in centimeters. So yes, 5.2 centimeters across. And I believe it is, 18 centimeters long. All right. I am using B graphite pencil and a rubber kneadable eraser, and I start by sketching on some snowflakes. I'm going to do 6 branch snowflakes. I've already put the sketches on about where I want them, but I'm just going to darken them for you to see. I have 3, and I will be masking out these shapes with my masking fluid. Add a few extra details. All of these pencil lines I will erase later. For now, I'm putting them on to guide where I place my masking fluid. I could draw freehand with the masking fluid if I wanted, but I didn't this time, and that's quite all right. There we go. Simple little snowflakes. Okay, I've drawn those on. And now I'm going to get my rigger brush. And I'm getting it wet, and I'm rubbing it around in my Ivory soap. And I'm going to use this brush to draw my masking fluid on. I've just ordered a masking fluid pen, which I thought would be nice to try, but it's not here yet. So I'll be using this brush, just following the lines that I've already put on. I have freehand drawn these snowflakes, but I was just thinking that if you're not comfortable to draw snowflakes on, you can always print some offline and trace them. There's one. Now to trace them on to some watercolor paper, you would likely want to have some transfer paper. Maybe I'll do that in a different YouTube video. I'm sure you could find a video of how to trace. I'm going to now put you on time lapse as I finish these two. Okay, now this has dried, and while it was drying, I went and sketched on another plan for my next bookmark. I'm going to put the background color here. I just want to draw your attention to these little splatters. I splatter painted my masking fluid on by tapping my brush once I was finished applying the masking fluid to the snowflakes. Now I am going to get my number 12 brush, and I'm going to wet the entire surface with water. I'm using a different water container because my first one has masking fluid in it. I always keep a couple of containers of water around so that I can have clean water available when I need it. All right. So I am adding water here with this nice thick round brush. And it's building a nice sheen on my paper. You can see the sheen. It's not so saturated that there's puddles, but it is wet enough that the paper's beginning to absorb it and even rise up a little bit. I'm taking my brush and putting it into my Prussian blue. And I'm adding some Prussian blue here. And I'll add some more water to that. It's a nice dark color. And I'm going to begin to tap that in here and there throughout my piece. And then let that bleed out. And now I'm putting my wet brush, I've cleaned it off, and I'm going to put it into my turquoise blue. And I'll just take it straight out and begin to tap that in here and there. Two variations of blue. Clean off my brush. I'm going into my Payne's gray. That's quite dark, and that's fine. And I'm going to pop in some Payne's gray, a few places. It'll dry much lighter than it goes on. And lastly, my purple. Apply some purple. Randomly, more intuitively than anything. Okay. Now I'm just going to tilt my board and let that paint run. Tilt my board this way. Great. Okay, there's a nice dark sky. And now I am picking up my number 3 round brush. I'm going to put some water into this white gouache. It's a nice creamy consistency. And I'm going to splatter a little bit of this white gouache on this wet paper. And now I'm going into my salt. This is kosher salt. And I'm going to sprinkle that right onto my piece. And I will let that dry. While it's drying, I'm going to get masking fluid and begin to apply it into these snowflake shapes. Again, I will use my rigger brush for this. I also have handy a number 2 brush for some of these areas that are a little larger here. Okay, I'll get the same water that I had my masking fluid in earlier, and I have my Ivory soap here. This is my number 2 brush, and it has Ivory soap on it. I have the soap so that I protect the bristles from the masking fluid sticking onto my bristles. It will clean off a lot easier when I have soap already covering the bristles. It doesn't affect the masking fluid's ability to work on the paper. This is careful work, but it is patient and peaceful work as well. My art room is my favorite room to be. And I find painting winter beauties a joy. I was in Kelowna yesterday at the art store, and on our drive home to Kamloops, where I live, it was snowing. More snow than I had seen in quite some time. It's really so pretty watching it come down, and that's what has inspired these bookmarks. I always say, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And then I've had enough of snow. And I look forward to the spring. I am a school teacher, and so before too long I get to have a break, a 2-week winter break. During that time I'll enjoy family, the snow, the beauty of winter, and lots of painting. Okay, you can see what I'm busy doing. Nice and slowly. I'm going to put this on time lapse. You can see the effects of the kosher salt on this dark background are just so beautiful. Now here I added my masking fluid, and I'm going to now use my number 3 round brush with some of my soap on it and my masking fluid, and I'm just going to tap that masking fluid on, get some splatters, and they will be saved as white and look like more snowflakes in the background. Okay, as I was painting this on time lapse, you may not have been able to see that I was using a variety of brush sizes. I switched from, I'm just going to grab the brushes here. I used a number 2 round for some of these bigger areas, and then I began to use my rigger brush for some of the line work. And as I was using it, I felt that I wanted more control, and so I moved to my 00 round brush with a very fine tip to be able to get into all those tight spaces. All right, now this all needs to dry, and then I will come back, and once it's dry I will put in background color and some salt, and then we'll carry on with this project. Okay, so the masking fluid is dry. This is not quite dried yet, but this has. So I'm going to put the background on now, using my number 12 round brush. I'll just soak the paper. Aiming for a nice sheen. Good. Now I'll go into my colors, starting with my Prussian blue, a very beautiful dark hue. It reacts very well to the salt. I love watching that wonderful bleed happen. Now I'm heading into my turquoise. I'll add a little bit of the Payne's gray. Not quite as much, just a little. And there it is. I didn't use purple this time. Just letting the colors run down into each other. Picking up some of it from the edge with a dry brush. Okay, it's time to tap in some white gouache. I have my number 3. A few splatters here and there. And then some salt. Again, this is kosher salt. It's coarse. And we'll let that dry. Now I'm going to use my rubber cement square to rub the masking fluid off. And of course my background was completely dry before I did this. The rubber cement square is nice. It picks up the masking fluid. I can take it off. Ta-da! How pretty is that? Very pretty. Alright, so let's look at this. Here I have salt effects, saved snowflake lines, and some little splatters that look like snow as well. And on this side, the salt is beginning to do its magic. So I could leave this like this, but I just bought some, this is metallic pigment, and it's silver. I want to use it on my snowflakes. So it's actually a powder. And what I do with it is I have my rigger brush and it's wet, and I tend to mix up some powder into the cap. Well, I take my rigger brush and lift out some of the powder. And I add some water to it. And basically I create a fluid mixture. You could use any brush to do this. The reason I'm using my rigger brush is that's the one I'm going to paint with. So it's becoming filled with this metallic silver. And now I'm going to run this over my snowflake. I think not in every part, just in some parts, just to add a little bit of a glitter and a shine to it. see if I can get you a little closer to what I'm doing here. There we go. I've done this with gold. The silver is new to me. But who doesn't like a little bit of a sparkle and a shine in the winter? That's pretty. All right, I'm going to turn this off and put it on time lapse for the other ones. Okay, so I've applied actually quite a lot of the metallic silver pigment, and I think it looks really great. It's got a beautiful shine to it, and I've added some extra snowflakes here and there. So I'm going to peel this one off now, peel the tape off. I love the little border that is revealed. Just so white and crisp. And what a nice bookmark to have, especially in the winter. If you're, sometimes it's nice to read any time, but in the winter we're inside, and reading is quite comforting, a cozy inside thing to do. So why not have a beautiful magical bookmark while you're reading? There we go. And now I do laminate my bookmarks, and often I'll add a little tassel to them. Let's look at it. Pretty. Okay, I'm going to put this one aside. And let's have a look at our next one. Okay, so this is dry. Get my rubber cement square. Off that masking fluid. Nice. Very pretty, bright white. Now for these, I don't think I'm going to use the metallic pigment. I think I'm just going to add a touch of shadow to them here and there. And to do that, I will take my Prussian blue and add a little bit of purple with it into quite a diluted mixture. That's nice. And I'm using my number 2 brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of shadow lines. Here and there, little designs. I want this even more diluted for this one. Just a touch. Slight touch. Ever so slight. It dries lighter as well, so. That's nice. And then I'm going to get some white gouache. And actually, I think I want a smaller brush for this. White gouache, and this is a 00. I'm just going to draw in some more snowflakes. With that gouache. Adding water to it. Any snowflake that I add will be will dry a lot lighter, and it may need 1 or 2 layers. I don't love that one on the top. I just put in, so I have some water on my brush. I'm going to tap on some water there. I'm just going to lift it off. All gone. All gone. That's probably good. Okay, now this is a number 3 round into the white gouache. And let's just tap some more snow. Great. Okay. Going to sign this just with Payne's Gray. It's a bit dark, so I'm going to tap this as well. There we go. Okay, let's lift off the tape. Pretty. Now, something that I just bought was, and I want to actually try this on the snowflakes. This is iridescent medium. And apparently I can just paint it on top. So, how fun. Putting my rigger brush right in there. Wow, you might not see this, but boy, it's adding a lovely sparkle. Let's see if I can show you. See that shine? It's pretty. I'm going to add this onto my branches. And let's see if I can zoom you in even more. There we go. As I said, I went to the art store today. It's my birthday. So my husband took me there and I got to buy some watercolor supplies, and this was among them. Oh, how fun to add a little glitter to a snowflake. All those noises, I apologize for. That's my cat and my husband. My husband's cleaning and my cat is racing around. Okay, let's finish this off and then I'll show you both and I'll sign off. I have to decide who is going to get this card, this bookmark. I tend to give them to the children in my grade 2 class. All right, enough. Enough's enough. Oh, there. Pretty. Okay, that's enough fiddling. They're done. There they are. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun. I hope you try your own. All the best. Leave me a comment, like and subscribe. I'd love to spend more time with you. Bye-bye.